The Satipatthana Sutta, the four foundations of mindfulness. We started this particular sutta last week, and today we are going to continue with the second session. Iti ajjattang va kāye kāyanupassī viharati, bahiddhā va kāye kāyanupassī viharati, abhijjā ajjatta bahiddhā va kāye kāyanupassī viharati. Iti ajjattang. Ajjattang, the mind or consciousness. Kāye kāyanupassī viharati, bahiddhā, external. Bahiddha means external phenomena that causes bodily activities. In Anapanasati, the external phenomena is the breath or the air. Kaya Kayanupassī Ajjatta Bahiddha, mind and external phenomena or object that cause bodily activities. We will discuss these things in detail. Initially, we can just understand Anupassī viharati, the process of activities observed as they are in progress at the very moment. Samudaya Dhammanupassī va kāyasmiņ viharati, the spiritual performer stays observing arising phenomena and how they form physical and mental life process. How arising mental phenomena to support life process or existence. Vaidhammanupassī va kāyasmiņ viharati, samudaya vaidhammanupassī va kāyasmiņ viharati, attikāyoti va panassa satipachupatthitā hoti. Basically, the physical body is formed and developed from food. Therefore, nothing can derive from body to be taken as permanent entity to be a soul or atta. Attikāyoti va panassa satipachupatthitā hoti. We cannot have any type of permanent kind of entity within life or in this body itself, because this is developed with impermanent kind of things like food and air. If I think of here the practitioner, this is in perspective of the practitioner. If I think of a selfness, it is to develop mindfulness for purification, not because availability of such in objective. So avijja samudaya, so we have to understand how we can annihilate the idea of selfness or ego. For that purpose, we need to understand how selfness or ego arises. There are 5 different ways of arising. Avijja samudaya, rupa samudaya. A delusion also causes for arising of physics. Kamma samudaya, rupa samudaya. Volitions also cause for formation of physics. Tanna samudaya, rupa samudaya. Craving too causes formation of physics. Ahara samudaya, rupa samudaya. Nutriments too causes physics. Nibbati lakkana anyati. If one is not aware of the Four Noble Truth, that is also a particular cause for forming the physics. So if we can accordingly identify the causes of forming this particular rupa or forms or physics, we will be able to make certain idea or have some kind of understanding how we can annihilate, re-image or re-becoming of physics as it causes suffering. Yavadeva Jnanamattaya, in order to develop some understanding towards wisdom, in case we are going to have certain idea of selfness, that is used to develop some sort of understanding towards wisdom. Pratisati Mattaya. Pratisati Mattaya, in order to continue mindfulness, to be at present, be away from dirt of evils by being alert. Anisthitoja viharati, stays without keeping hopes, stays minimizing expectations. Because here the individual very vividly comprehends hopes and expectation. They cause clinging and thereby suffering. Does the good at the moment without expecting. Just consume life as it is in the very moment, just associating for the time being. It ends there itself. Nachakincha loke upadhyate. He properly understands that nothing to cling on in this entity to be taken as life. Lives on giving up one by one. There are certain phenomena where we cling on, having understood all those one by one, gradually annihilate or give up or let go. If one fully annihilates clinging or grasping, it becomes arhat. Mind with no clinging has no sorrow and suffering. Practice letting go or giving up gradually. One can enjoy freedom to the extent he gives up. The mind with no clinging at all is arhat. Nachakincha loke upadhyate. Evampiko bhikkave bhikkhu kaya kayan passi viharati. Accordingly, the practitioner, the bhikkhu, stays observing bodily activities in bodily activities themselves. Thus, he stays observing the arising phenomenon of the body. Thus, he stays observing the passing away of phenomenon of the body. So, when concentrating developing, one can understand how the physical formation happens within. Thus, he stays observing of arising and passing away of the phenomenon of the bodily activities. Here at this stage, he develops some understanding of his own body. He understands that mere exist of an entity of this body is only to establish mindfulness, not because such exists in real, other than a process undergoing constant change. If you just think that a personification type of mentality, he takes that for establishing mindfulness. He sees the subtle process of arising and passing away in both mental and physical phenomena. That's what taken to be an individual in conventional truth. So even though when observing with tranquil mind, the practitioner can understand Nama Rupa Bodha, a particular process of arising and passing away. Nothing remains standstill. But in reality, only an ongoing process of phenomena, undergoing momentary subtle change. In this way, he stays detached, without clinging towards anything in the world of mind and matter. This is how the practitioner stays observing bodily activities, such activities themselves. Nature of arising and passing away of phenomena and impermanence related to vividly known in this life itself. The individual can understand with his tranquil mind. This is a stream of process, ongoing, a stream of process of mind and matter. That is what we take to be life. So he gets this kind of understanding, thus he reaches seeing the reality of all existing phenomena. Further elaborating, we can understand that the practitioner lives contemplating the bodily activities in progress. Certain physical activities of the body occur inside. Some of those activities become sensitive when calmness develops. Further, some activities of the body become sensitive when they arise or occur in conjunction with mental process of sensation. External and internal factors affect for activities to occur. When being alert on these activities, the individual can see how they arise and how they pass away or fade away. He keeps on contemplating or meditating these subtle activities. Then he understands that the entity which is taken to be life is a process of activities related to body and mind, which is constantly undergoing subtle changes. If a knowing surfaces of an individuality or selfness, he takes that to be only mere understanding to develop mindfulness. Not because there is that kind of entity really exists. Here he knows that realistically an individual doesn't exist, rather than a process of activities and goals. But when talking about conventionally or conceptually, we can see an individual in all there. But when it comes to reality, looking at objectively, we can see nothing, rather than a stream of process going on, undergoing constant changes. When he comes to this maturity of understanding, he lives detached and clings to nothing in the world. Nachakinchi loke upadhi. This is how the practitioner lives contemplating the body in body. Nothing to cling, but the life can be used for the time being so that no causes emerge for Evika. Need to be used as dwindling or diminishing the existence. Then comes Vyapata Papa. The section of postures, the section of associating postures in day-to-day life. You know, one who develops mind is only identifying or knowing by observing mind in contemplation or meditation. The practitioner or yogi who develops mind by practicing meditation, what he does is only identify, only know it. Whatever the object it may be, he doesn't go to analyze the object in different perspectives or in different angles. If he sees something, he stops there itself. If he hears something, he stops hearing. He doesn't go beyond that. If he hears something, he remains in here. He is not interested in further thinking so as to what it is, where it came, how it was, and so on. If one goes to find details of different aspects of the object contacted, the roots of defilements arise in that triangle. Understanding is there. Thereby one can develop mundane or worldly phenomena which supports worldly existence. Iriyapatha Pabba is very important because the individual practice meditation a lot, and now his mind is quite calm, and he now wants to see whether his calmness is steady. If the meditation is properly done and mind is tranquil enough, he can bring that serenity into active life, day-to-day life. It is experimented and further developed at this Iriyapatha stage. So you know that when somebody is practicing meditation, being seated, so there of course he doesn't get involved. Most of the time he doesn't get involved. He doesn't get involved in developing mundane activities. So that means you know that when somebody is asleep, he does no harm to anyone. Likewise, when somebody is practicing meditation, thereby he doesn't goes to, he does nothing harmful to anyone. But that is not that much useful. We have to see now by practicing meditation, developing mindfulness thereby and concentration. We have to see whether that development, mental development is practical. So this is where the Buddha advised us to put that serene mind into day-to-day practical life and see whether still it is tranquil and developed, or whether it stays undisturbed. So this is very scientific method. After practicing meditation, now the practitioner gets involved in day-to-day activities. in his community or in society. Now the practitioner has to see whether he can maintain a developed mind. Now, when he was practicing Anapanasati, he understood how mental volitions or different kinds of mental formations cause becoming and re-becoming. Now he can practically understand. There he can control those things. Psychologically, he can control when practicing meditation. But when it comes to real life, we have to see whether the practitioner can maintain the same mentality which he developed while meditating, being seated. He himself can understand his progress and see whether it is okay to apply in day-to-day life activities through different postures. I must come to day-to-day, he thinks that I must come to day-to-day practical life with this mental development. In other religious teachings, the practitioner stays meditating greater part of his life. Sometimes those practitioners, they never come to society. They never come to their community. All the time being in the forest or in a isolated place, they keep on practicing, developing their mind into dhyana level, trance level. So it is not admitted in Buddhism. There anyone can be perfect being in a forest. One can practice meditation and develop mindfulness and concentration. It's okay. Being in a forest or being in an empty place or wherever, in a temple or any calm place. So their initial practice can be done. After practicing, when the practitioner thinks that his mind is developed, now it is stable, now he is fully concentrated. Now he had to come back to his community. Thereafter, he has to be engaged in day-to-day general life. With that developed mind. There are a lot of things in society for a mind to be impure. Now the practitioner has to experiment. He has to see whether he can keep his mind without being impure, without getting impure, without getting unshaken, without getting shaken. The practitioner must now be attentive, contemplative, or meditating so that no outside disturbances trouble and turmoil his mind. When he comes to the community, different people can do different things. The other community members can do different kinds of things. So even in that society full of activities, he has to stay with that developed mind. When I meditate, being seated in an undisturbed, in a lonely place, I can make up my mind and be tranquil. It is quite okay. Somebody can do it. When meditating, being seated with crossed legs, anyone can be perfect. So the practitioner is actually good at that particular level. When practicing Anapanasati, he was quite okay. But it is more important and practical if he can maintain and continue that tranquil mind, even in society or community, when they dealing with other members of different levels. Maybe he can be a teacher, or he can be a monk in the temple, or he can be, the practitioner can be involved in different kinds of activities as a usual member. Being a societal member, the practitioner cannot be isolated, or shouldn't be either. He shouldn't be isolated either. He has to involve in activities as a community member. That is needed too. That's also a requirement. There are things to do and attend in society. Sometimes by practicing meditation, he comes to a particular level. So the other, he can go through the other stage practically by being in society. There are things to perform being with others. There are things to share for the benefit of others. So he got a lot of experiences while practicing meditation in an isolated place, in an empty place, or maybe in a forest, wherever it may be. He got a lot of experiences. And now he can share those meditative experiences with other community members. And again, he can lead social life, helping other individuals. Whatever the action or posture it may be, one has to be steady with developed mind. Now, if the individual cannot maintain that particular developed mind when associating postures, that level is not sufficient. Then the objective is not served. The objective of meditation is not served. When that individual comes into society, if his mind shakes, then the objective of meditation is not served properly. So his mind must maintain serene and undisturbed. When changing behavior in different contexts of society, the mind must stay steady in calm without getting distracted. The mind must not associate either end. Passam bayam. So earlier we discussed that passa bayam. So the existence is developed, mundane or worldly phenomena is developed in individual when associating duality. He observed that kind of phenomena while meditating. When he comes to general life, now he is thoroughly aware how he can stay without associating duality or either end, which causes re-becoming, which causes worldly life. So must be kept away from duality. He has to keep away his mentality from getting involved in duality. At the Passambaya, when he was practicing that Anapanasati meditation, Passambaya, he was well aware, thoroughly noticed how duality causes existence, causes defilements, evils. Now he can be very careful without getting involved in duality. So, Iriyapada is a kind of experimental state. There, the practitioner can see whether he can maintain his developed mentality without developing worldly existence. It must be in a state of equanimity. The mind must be in the middle without associating either end. His mind is in the middle with correct understanding. So illusion is not involved there in this equanimity. This is not worldly even. It is the most important. So he has to see, is it steady when being with and without comfort. Sometimes when he comes to society, he has to undergo or he has to stay in sort of comfortable setting or sometimes uncomfortable. Whatever the context or setting it may be, he has to see whether his mind stays in the middle without associating either comfort or discomfort. When associating any action or activity, even in different contexts, the spiritual performer stays the same with the same collected mind as it was when meditating seated. It is very important to understand that the practitioner should not think that he is going to be mindful in postures and need to associate postures deliberately and slowly or in an unnatural manner. He has to just attend necessary actions having postures in usual manner. So, thinking that I am going to associate postures in meditative way, one must not slow down his postures or speed up. He has to associate those postures in a way it is necessary for the requirement of living. Purposely, he must not go slowly. Purposely, he must not work slowly. Or purposely, he must not work very fast. He has to adhere to his normal way of associating postures or working or doing things. His behavior must not be artificial. His behavior must not be unnatural. Association of postures must be natural. Anybody cannot anything artificial. So here we have to practically live the normal way of life, associating necessary postures for the requirement. So we should not show unnecessary calmness or serenity, or we should not show unnecessary hasty. And he has to see if he can be attentive in associated actions and postures without getting distracted. Now he is usually, generally getting involved in day-to-day activities, associating different postures. Now he has to see that he can live in the activity itself without brooding over the past or thinking over the future. He has to see if he can maintain mindfulness as it was in Anapanasati. When practicing Anapanasati, it was quite good, very meditative, and it was really tranquil. The mind was really serene. He understood how air touches, how mind works in accordance with bodily activities. Now he is going to understand bodily activities in relation to postures. Now the area becomes a bit wider. The area of objects become wider compared to practicing Anapanasati. He has to be vigilant and see whether his mind vacillates or be shaky or unstable when undergoing both pleasing and unpleasing experiences in different background due to varied reasons and postures. You know that when postures change, when situations change, when context or setting changes, along with postures, the mentality too can change. The mind can easily get distracted due to varied reasons. The individual has to see practically whether he can maintain the developed mentality. He has to do a self-experiment regarding his degree of mindfulness in general life. Now, actually, Satipatthana is a very scientific method of developing total concentration into ongoing process of life at the very moment. There are 14 activities in Kayanupassana. So if this is practically and properly done, mindfulness and spiritual development can really be achieved. So even when understanding this very properly with the deeper philosophical meaning, we can see how systematic and strategic this approach is. In this mindfulness, the practitioner develops his mind so that it doesn't cling on any worldly phenomena. Punacha param bhikkhave bhikkhu gacchantu va gacchami iti pajanati. When walking, he is aware that he is walking. So sometimes when somebody look at this, he may think when we walk, we know that we are walking. But that mere understanding is not enough. We have to fully absorb on the action of walking. When walking on an easy and comfortable track or path, as well as in a rough surface, one has to see whether the mind admits both in same manner. So you know that in day-to-day life, we cannot walk evenly surface all the time. Sometimes we have to trample gravel, sometimes marshy lands, sometimes grass, sometimes pebble, sometimes it can be very smooth surface. So when the body or the foot touches the surface on which we are walking, we have to see whether our mind changes due to the contact that we get on different surfaces. So all the time the activity, the posture is the same. But the feeling or the sensation that can arise when walking through different surfaces can be changed. So the context can be changed. The setting can be changed. It can be varied. But we have to see the mind is unshaken. The mind is steady. When walking on comfort, we don't cling on that comfort. When walking on rough surface, we don't reject that suffering that we feel. We admit both in the same manner. The mind doesn't vacillate. The mind doesn't shake. The process of walking going on. The posture of walking associated. So now the practitioner understands he has to walk, so he walks. When walking, he has to tread on different tracks. But his mind doesn't differentiate. His mind doesn't change. It clings nothing. The practitioner doesn't wish for comfortable surface for walking. And he doesn't reject the rough surface for walking. Whatever it may be, if he wants to associate the posture of walking, he associates that posture without associating evils, which can arise through the process of contact while walking. So here, gacchantu va gacchami iti bhajana. He just be aware when walking. He is quite aware that he is walking. He remains his mind on the process of walking, action, and when the foot gets contacted different surfaces, accordingly mind identifies those difficult or hard and comfortable feelings. Only identify. Only identify as it is. Tito miti pajana. While standing, he understands properly that he is standing. So, when standing a particular place, he is not associating any evils or defilements according to the posture or with the posture. He is just aware that he is standing. Even when standing, sometimes certain bodily activities can happen. Thereby, certain sensations may occur. While being aware of his posture, he contemplates the ongoing mental phenomena. He is aware of the functioning of his consciousness. Even though he is standing, he doesn't allow his mind to disperse or wander here and there. Now, standing, you know that when standing, somebody can be free. Mind can be free. Simply being standing. But even there, his mind stays without dispersing. Mind is collected. Nisinno miti pajanati. While sitting, he understands properly that he is sitting. Right? And so you know that when we are seated in a comfortable place, we feel some sort of comfort. If we are seated in an uncomfortable place, we feel even that. But whatever the sensation which can occur due to bodily contact, the practitioner here doesn't take it. He just stays being aware of his posture of sitting. He doesn't think that this is a good chair, very comfortable chair. It is better if I can have all the time, if I can have this kind of places to be seated all the time, it would be better. He doesn't have that kind of thing. Sometimes now he gets a particular seating where it is not very comfortable. So he doesn't reject even that, because it is not a matter to be concerned at this particular level. The practitioner doesn't concentrate over those mundane matters. if he thinks that he has to associate the posture of sitting for a particular purpose, he is seated. If he can just be seated, he thinks that that's enough. He is not looking for a comfortable seating. He is not rejecting discomfortable seating. So Nisinnova, Nisinnoviti Pajanati. He just associate the posture of sitting for the requirement. You know that when walking, some people say that lift, move, place. Lift, move, place. උස්සනවා, ගෙනියනවා, තියනවා. එහෙම හිතන්න එකක් නැහැ. We have to naturally associate postures. Now you know that each and every individual has his own way of associating postures. Maybe a particular person has a particular rhythm, particular way. That is natural to him. He can adhere to that way of associating postures without being artificial, without being unnatural. උස්සනවා, ගෙනියනවා, තියනවා. අනනවා, ගෙනියනවා, තියනවා, කනවා. Likewise, එහෙම එකක් කරන්න එකක් නෙවෙයි කියන්නේ. Sayanova, Sayanomiti Pajana. While lying down, so you know that if in order to go to, if you want to sleep, you go to bed and you lie down. Or sometimes you lie down just to have a rest, right? Just most of the time, we go to bed and lie down to sleep, have a rest. So there can be a little time lying on the bed before one can be asleep. Before one can be asleep, he can be awake, lying on the bed. During that time, different kinds of mental formations may surface in his mind. He may be thinking over the activities that he performed in the daytime. So here the practitioner doesn't do anything of that sort. He is not thinking what he did in the daytime. He is not thinking that I have got a nice bed, very comfortable mattress, very expensive bed, or very poor one. He don't have those type of mean or mundane or worldly mentalities. He just being aware that he is lying. Purely he is aware that he is lying on bed. His mind is absorbed on the activity. Sometimes maybe he feel very comfortable. The sensation may be very pleasing due to that comfortable setting or the bed or the mattress. But he is not clinging on them. Or sometimes that lying surface may be very rough and tough and uncomfortable. He is not rejecting that. He just lying for the purpose. He associate that physical thing only for the purpose of lying. If lying can be done, that's enough. He is not looking for a very expensive, comfortable beds. Oh, he is not going to reject very uncomfortable ones. He does nothing. He is not involved in duality. So now he observes himself whether he can maintain his mind, which he developed while practicing Anapanasati. Now he concentrates. Now he thinks whether he can maintain that sound unattaching mentality in even when associating different postures. He himself can understand whether he is attaching or rejecting. He can do a very good experiment. The practitioner himself can understand whether he has developed mindfulness steadily so that he can use that development in different levels. Yata yatava panassa kayu panihitu. The individual observes the action of the mind. At the moment it reacts with contact, arising from postures, and continues that observance without being judgmental. Just identification is done. He is not going to classify the object. He is not going to develop the object. He is not going to further develop the object in different perspectives, different levels, different angles. He remains in identification. Tata tata anam pajana. Here the practitioner observes how his consciousness works with changing postures due to ongoing actions of the mind. There he doesn't make any decision rather than just being aware and identifying. Tata tatana. Now he observes his mind and see the reality of the function of his mind as it is. Now different postures are associated in different settings. The mind, different sensations develop due to different contexts when associating postures. Then mind reacts into those differently, not say at the same level and the same way at the same time, all the time. So here he observes his mind without being judgmental. He doesn't make any judgment. Only pure alertness, only pure awareness is continuously maintained. Again, the practitioner while walking understands properly that I am walking. While standing, he understands properly that I am standing. While sitting, he understands properly that I am sitting. While lying down, he understands properly that I am lying down. In whichever posture or position his body is, he understands it properly at the very moment, at the same time. His mind has no room to go elsewhere. It always stays being alert at the action of mind at the very moment they occur. When the practitioner is only involved in the ongoing action of posture, there is no room for his mind to be occupied in either past or future object. Thus, he diminishes the tendency of performing worldly defilements. Now, briefly telling, he just associate different postures, movements as required for day-to-day life. When associating postures, different sensations, different consciousnesses arise. But here the practitioner doesn't allow them to get involved with defilements or evils, so that his activities cause worldly or mundane existence. When the practitioner is only involved in the ongoing action of posture, there is no room for his mind to be occupied in either past or future object. Here the practitioner has to see how his thought process react with relevant actions as it happens. When having different postures in different settings, he has to see whether his mind is shaky due to the difference of comfortability or hardness or difficulty. He has to see whether his mind admits both pleasing and displeasing equally. He has to check whether his mind is steady in varied settings, as it was while practicing seated meditation. Simply saying, he has to see whether his mind stays without associating either end, or is away from duality. When he is associating different postures, he has to see if craving or anger or any defilements emerge. When associating postures, defilements or evils can emerge in mind. There can be sort of conflicting mentalities. So he has to see whether he still has conflicts with defilements. He has to see if his mind is repeatedly seeking pleasing things related to postures or behaviors. The individual here shouldn't go to either extreme, good or bad. The practitioner has to stay in the middle without getting indulged in craving, anger, or delusion. Roots of evils. Raga, Dvesha, Moha. And he shouldn't associate objects of any extreme. Instead, needs be in the middle, unattached. Things can happen, but he admits nothing, rather than identifying them as they really are. He has to ensure Nivarana and Vitakka are fully controlled. Nivarana are certain phenomena which impede or cover the spiritual path. Vitakka also sort of mentalities which disturb the spiritual path. They support evils and defilements to re-emerge in mind. So the practitioner has to be aware whether it happens. whether Nivarana and Vitakka are fully controlled, even when associating postures. When he is doing things with other societal members in his community, he has to see whether his mind is unshaken and fully balanced in the middle. So here, this is what at this particular stage, Iriyapatha stage, this kind of mental development and experiment is done. The individual tries to understand whether his serenity of mind being in the middle is stable or unstable. If it is, if he cannot stay calm in the middle, even when associating these postures, again he has to practice Anapanasati and make his mind stable in being in the middle, observing development of mundane and how he can be away from that process. Yes, this is what dear Thero, we have discussed with regard to Iriyapatha Pabba. So if you have any things to discuss further, we can, I think, discuss. Dinasiri Thero.
Yes, you have said that in Gacchantu va Gacchami iti Pajanati, in the stage, some they train their students with that same way which you have told, that lifting, moving, and placing like this. You are told that we don't want to consider that stage.
No.
What is different?
Yeah. Yes,